Hello and welcome to Around the World with Dane Waters. I am your host, Dane Waters. I just literally got back from flying around the world from Asia back to London. So jet lag. So forgive me, audience, if I'm a little off today. It's just I'm not the young whippersnapper I used to be and can travel like I used to. But let's get started talking about around the world. I'd have to say that division rules the world. That's what's happening. I mean, it's very frustrating if you see what's happening in the United States with division. Charlie Kirk, whose assassination was an assassination that hideous in every sense of the word. The division that's causing, but the division we had before that, and the division that it's even growing in the United States. I mean, it's just we have to find a way to end that division. I mean, that division continues between the West and the East. We have that division between Russia and Ukraine, and now we have the division what's been going on in the Middle East, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, between what's happening in Israel, where numerous countries are now recognizing a Palestinian state, while Israel just continues to do what they want to do. I mean, this division around the world is not diminishing. And then you have the issue with Russia uh, poking NATO, flying jets into NATO territory, into Estonia. You have them sending drones across Poland. I don't see any change coming anytime soon to this division. And I don't know. I mean, I'm worried as a human being, as a citizen of this planet, as to what's going to happen. But what I would urge my audience to do is that the division starts. This is not a top-down thing. This is a bottom-up thing. We as citizens of this world, we have got to find a way to diminish this division and find ways and focus on ways to come together and to end these conflicts. Because bad actors around the world, whether it's Putin or President Xi of China or whether it's North Korea or whether it's Hezbollah, whoever, they feed off of this division. That's what gives them strength and power. And we have to understand that. And we need to find a way to come together, even if it's in the short term, just to figure out how to address this division and bring some harmony back to the world before we end up in World War III. And I think that's getting closer by the minute. Anyway, so that's my really uplifting statement intro here. So let's take a quick break from Around the World with Dane Waters, and we'll get back with our first guest. Thank you.
What we've always maintained is that the Nevertron movement. I'll break it down into a couple of different Syria, Lagos has become one of the largest exporters of illegal ivory in the world.
Live in a third world nation where your votes will get stolen if you can vote there at all.
All that kind of stuff. Welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. Boy, that was quick break. Okay, so my guest was telling me that I'm just a sad man. I'm just not optimistic. So, I'm going to try to smile. I'm going to try to loosen it up a little. But sadly, we have a very serious topic to talk about. So my guest, Antoni Barakat. How are you, Antoni?
Hello, Dane. I'm great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm great. And listen, it's been way too long. We've known each other for a long time. I haven't seen you in several years. You're there in Beirut. So first, before we get started with the tough questions I'm going to ask you, tell us a little bit about you and what do you do and honestly, what I want when you answer that question, I want to know why you have chosen to stay in Lebanon when everybody else has left.
Yes, well, so I'm Antoni Barakat. I'm the managing director of NAQD Media. It's an independent media outlet based in Beirut. We are online media outlet with a website and social media platforms. And we founded NAQD in 2022, just after or during the elections of 2022, when we felt that change needs also to arrive to the brains of the young generation because they felt disconnected from traditional media. So this is why we stepped in. The decision to stay in Beirut, it's still ongoing, a question, still ongoing. So every day we ask ourselves the same thing, why we stay. Of course, like many Lebanese, we have the opportunity to leave the country, go elsewhere, work in, I don't know, in big consultancy agencies, business consultancies and stuff like everyone else does. But it just doesn't feel right for me. It feels less challenging and less normal because eventually you get used to the chaos that you live in, and sometimes you find yourself in such things. Not all the time war is bad, I mean, but in general, when things are a bit, you know, no, more normal than other days, you find beauty in this country, and this is what keeps me going. So I like being here, actually.
Well, it's you know, listen, I lived in Lebanon for a while. It is a beautiful country, as you say. The people are wonderful, but it is a very divided country. But
Of
I will
course,
say, I will applaud you for staying, because one thing that I noticed when I was there is that with all the chaos, so many people were leaving. They were suffering from the brain drain. They were suffering from just about every type of malady you could in Lebanon. And but it's going to take people like yourself staying. Not that I'm urging you to stay, but it was going to take people like yourself staying to really fight for what's right for the country. So let's
of
talk
course.
about that. So give us an idea. There's a huge Lebanese audience that watches the show, because there's a huge Lebanese audience also in Nigeria. Um, Talk to us about, you know, help the world understand where you believe Lebanon is currently. What's the current, you know, what is it like being in Lebanon now?
Of course. Well, it's a question that the answer would change by the hour. You know, I heard you saying that World War III is approaching by the minute. Here as well, situation can change by the minute as well. But talking about the now, what's happening now, you know, starting the year, we everything changed in Lebanon. We got a new president, we got a new government that apparently is doing way better than other governments that the country has seen or witnessed before. So we started to see some stability somehow in some areas related to infrastructure, to other stuff. We're seeing projects in the country for the first time since, you know, 30 years maybe, on the roads and others. But all of this is not enough, and all of this can change in a second, because the security and the stability in terms of security is not there yet. And this is what's concerning us, me personally, and all other people actually in Lebanon. But the full image is that the country is a bit more stable than it used to be for the time being, but we're not sure this will continue eventually, because a lot of things might change. Last month in August, the government took a very bold decision to kind of disarm all militias. Uh, all militias are just one militia actually in Lebanon that has arms outside of the legal entities, and they took this decision in the cabinet and in the government, I mean. But apparently, since then, since August 5, nothing concrete is happening. And this is what's worrying us, what's worrying also the international community. So, but we're eager to see, because they put a limit for themselves to the end of the year, which is not feasible at all. At the end of the year is 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and you cannot do such things in 3 months. But even though they haven't even started. So it's a bit, you know, problematic. But at the same time, it gave us hope at the beginning, and now we're a bit skeptical about what's coming.
Well, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I have to say that, yeah, as far as disarming, you know, Hezbollah and other militias, you know, a part of that is because of the pressure from the United States. You know, the United States made it very clear that the Trump administration, that if you don't disarm Hezbollah within a certain period of time, that we're going to oppose any additional aid for you. So I think they were backed into a corner in that regard. But I'm glad to see. I agree. I have tremendous respect for the current government there, much better than it's been in the past. But as far as Hezbollah is concerned, do you believe that? Help us understand, you know, the power and control of Hezbollah. Has it been greatly diminished? Do the people in the streets see that
Yes,
it's?
yes, eventually. Well, in terms of military power, we don't really know for sure, because we didn't even know what Hezbollah had before the war, and now we're not sure about this. We hear about their capabilities on the news, mainly on Israeli media, about that they destroyed like 85% of their power, but we're not very sure about this. If you go to the streets, I mean, you've been in Lebanon, you don't really know what Hezbollah is capable of, or what they have in terms of military power, because it's not shown to the public. It's underneath. It's somewhere. It's hidden. So we don't really know. But for sure, they are getting politically, at least the things that we can see politically, way weaker than before. They used to control governments. Governments used to say in their official statement, that the Lebanese has the right to defend their land, or to, they put it in ways that would, give legitimacy to Hezbollah to do what they're doing in terms of resistance, if they put it in that matter. And this is gone now from the government. The official statement that the government presented to parliament to get the trust was very clear about that. The Lebanese army is the only official party who's allowed to have, arms and military equipment. So on the political level, Hezbollah is way weaker than before. They he doesn't control the government anymore. Even Lebanon is a bit very divided, and it's sectarian. So they have the Shia representatives in government. They used to be all of them from Hezbollah. So whenever Hezbollah isn't happy about any decision, they would just um, exit the meeting room, and it would create chaos because it's not representative enough. Now, for this government, we have another representative of the Shia community, which is an individual, an independent person that doesn't belong to the circle of Hezbollah, that stays during the meetings, which is also something you might consider not relevant, but like in terms of morality, it's very relevant here to the country, because there is, all sects are represented even without Hezbollah's consent. So
Well,
politically, yes.
well, let's go into this because for the audience needs to understand that when you talk about how divided and sectarian that Lebanon is, so it's a country where the president of the country is required to be a Maronite, which is a Christian, where the prime minister of the country is required to be a Sunni, okay, and the Speaker of the House is required to be Shia, which in the
That's
past
true.
has almost always has been a member of Hezbollah,
That's true.
and so that required division makes it almost impossible in the past for the government to operate. So if Hezbollah is being reduced, there's another Shia, and just once again for the audience, you have Hezbollah, which is a Shia organization, and then you have a Amal. Is Amal taking over from Hezbollah, or is it growing in strength, or do you see that another Shia movement is going to rise up?
Well, what's happening now. Historically, there used to be two political parties for the Shia, which is Hezbollah and its longtime friend and ally, Amal, which is the political party that usually from where we get the Speaker of the Parliament from. And they used to be very aligned about everything. And now this is changing, actually. Um, the Speaker of the Parliament, which is weirdly enough also an American citizen on paper, is trying to take another path from Hezbollah slowly but steadily. You know what I mean? And he's surely more acceptable worldwide because he wears a tie, and he has ties with with a lot of foreign forces, if I have to say. But this Hezbollah used to use this power that this political man has to try to lobby for themselves. Now this is also changing because they are taking another route. And for example, whenever Hezbollah members try to go on the streets with their motorbikes and do some between the houses with their flags, the Speaker of the Parliament would say that this is not allowed. I will not allow this, even if I would go personally to the roads to stop this, because no one should fight the army, whatever the army will do. So this is a bit changing as well. I don't believe there's a new, very powerful storm of new political Shia party that will, come and save the Shia community, because it's this, this needs a lot of things because it's radical, and this community is they are raising this community like that for a long time now, and it takes time to change. But even the ally of Hezbollah are shifting away right now. Is it because of international pressure? Maybe, but also it's because of some local pressure as well, because we have faced tremendous uh, problems, and especially in the last year and a half from Hezbollah, but also from Israel. So this is also important to say. But I mean, Israel is an outsider, so we start to blame ourselves first, and then um, you know um uh, we need to secure ourselves from inside, from within first. So this
Well,
is
let me bring up. I hate to interrupt. Let me bring up Israel because yeah, you're right. I mean, just just so the audience once again understands, is that Israel and Lebanon are still technically in war. It's still illegal, honestly. Like for example, you, Anthony, you couldn't pick up the phone and call someone in Israel. It's illegal. They'd put you in
Of
jail,
course,
right? So,
of
so
course.
any
Even
relationship
in
between
Palestine, even in Palestinian territories, because they have the same code number, it's illegal.
no, yeah, yeah. So then, and I've had many members of the IDF on representatives from the IDF in Israel and Lebanon, on this call. So let's talk about Israel for a second. There was an attack yesterday, I believe yesterday, down in southern Lebanon,
On Sunday.
where on Sunday, where they were attacking a member of Hezbollah supposedly, but they claim, and it's still uncertain, whether 5 U.S. Citizens were killed as well. What's the latest on that?
Well, no, that's actually the Foreign Office in the United States said that this is not true. One of the people had already, like, a green card or something, or a long-term visa, sort of, to immigrate to the U.S., but he hasn't used it yet, so he's not technically a citizen. No, they are all Lebanese, but this doesn't make them subject, or
Yeah, I
it's not
agree.
justifiable even if they're not Americans. You know what I mean? Because these people, it's a family of 5 that got hit by accident. This is what the Israeli claims, because they wanted to target someone on the motorbike in front of them on the road, and also it happened that their car was passing by, and they had 3 children that got also killed by this strike. And as always, Israel would say, we are very sorry that civilians got hit, and we're trying to do an internal assessment to see why this happened.
Yeah,
But this leads to nowhere anyway. I mean,
yeah,
this is happening. This is happening since October 8th. When Hezbollah started, supporting this Hamas war with Israel. But it was very targeted, like 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer, and then it exploded last September with all the pager and Nasrallah's assassination. But since then, even after the ceasefire agreement went on, Israel has been all the time trying to do political, military operations in Lebanon, whether it's by striking Hezbollah members, or weapon places where they store, missiles or other stuff. And Hezbollah isn't responding. I believe not because of goodwill, but because of lack of, yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. So what do the average Lebanese think of the Israelis? I mean, the Israelis did diminish Hezbollah, but the average Lebanese on the street, do they like Israel now better, or is it
Yeah,
still
well,
animosity?
you know better than anyone that there is no average Lebanese, because it's very divided. The country is very divided, and there's average Lebaneses. You know what I mean? So it's also sectarian. For example, most of the people not related to the Shia community or to the Hezbollah, first of all, they were, a bit saying that they are both, 2 sides of the same evil. So whenever they fight, we don't care what's happening, because we hate them. We hate them equally. This is one part of the community, and some people felt that dealing with Hezbollah we weren't able to do that internally. So whenever something would happen that we don't like, but I mean, if it happens, okay, fine, let's do it, or let this happen to see where this would lead, because we were already on rock bottom, so we cannot go lower than that back then, because Hezbollah used to control the country, to oppress journalists, to also put pressure on media, on the judiciary system, on the parliament, on the government. But also there's other half of Lebanese that also consider Israel as an occupier, also to some Lebanese land, but also to Palestinian lands, and these people still consider that. And now it's becoming even harder to change their mind about Israel, since what they are seeing on the news and what they are seeing worldwide.
Well,
And also,
well,
I hear something, I heard something like a few months from now from close friends that weren't really, our generation didn't really face any big problems with Israel, people living in some areas in Lebanon. We didn't grow up like seeing missiles coming from Israel towards us or whatsoever. But now, Israel was able to make every generation of Lebanese, have some hate in themselves towards what's happening from Israel towards us. So this is also very unfortunate for them actually, that that this happened. So so now
Well,
you can find very
that's a
little
very valuable
support.
point.
You can find very little
Yeah, let
support.
me
This
bring
is
this
what
up.
I mean.
Yeah, no, that's critical because people talk about, so whereas Israel was, you're right, it was an older generation that despised Israel. It was Lebanese, but now younger generation like yourself, you see war, you've experienced war, you know what it's like, and so the animosity toward Israel is definitely growing. That makes perfect sense, and this is what a lot of people argue
But this
about the
doesn't
actions.
delete the Hezbollah thing. So it's like comparing whether you want Bashar al-Assad or ISIS, which makes no sense. We can choose an alternative that is either this or that. So it's not like choosing between Israel and Hezbollah. And this is sometimes the international community wouldn't understand. So we are facing the atrocities of both of them. We're maybe the only people on earth that is also getting hit from both sides, which is very frustrating for us, because Israel is considering us on the side of Hezbollah, and Hezbollah, since we are not supporters, they are considering us as traitors or spies or allies to Israel. And the
Mm.
Lebanese people in Lebanon that doesn't really support Hezbollah. So we're facing uh, problems from both sides, and which is really, really very unfortunate for Lebanese.
Well, that's a very important point to make. And let's talk about the Palestinians, because Lebanon has a tremendous number of Palestinian refugees as well as Syrian refugees. What is the feeling in Palestine, I mean, in Lebanon about what's happening in Gaza?
Well, there's an absolute agreement among all Lebanese that what's happening in Gaza is frustrating. It's unfair. It's not an equal response at any point. It's beyond what even people, some people like around the world, Israel succeeded in letting them forget what Hamas did in October 7th, because it's long gone now, and everyone is talking about what Israel is doing, which also backfires on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now everyone is talking about how Israel is killing like a lot of innocent people as well. It's like more than 50,000 persons killed in Gaza. I'm pretty sure that most of them are innocent people. We're seeing videos from homes, from houses, kids, animals, whatsoever. So you cannot hide this from Lebanese, even people who historically had problems with the Palestinians, because during the civil war or the Lebanese war in Lebanon in 1975, sorry, Palestinians tried to take Lebanon as another country for them, because they were kind of quote unquote kicked out of their own land. So some mainly Christian areas used to fight the Palestinians because of that. And even now, these people are feeling a lot of empathy towards what's happening in Gaza, because it's beyond what anyone can bear or see. And
Mm.
also, we have witnessed like a small fraction of it during the war. So we have seen, we have tasted some of this. So we understand a bit the struggle that's happening.
Well, let's talk about this because we only have like a minute left. So, for the Lebanese around the world, like the Lebanese who are in Nigeria, the Lebanese or everywhere else in the world, if you had to say to them what you want from them, like whether you think they should come back or how they can
Of
help
course.
Lebanon, what would you say to them?
Well, very simple. In the coming days, the registration to vote for the immigrants will open. So I would really encourage them to register to vote in the upcoming 2026 elections, because the effect of their vote is extremely, extremely important. In 2022, people living abroad were able to successfully enter up to 10 MPs to the parliament. If you consider the number of voters now, this could be extremely higher than that. So I encourage every Lebanese living abroad to register, not just register and vote in 2026, because there's an opportunity for them to vote from where they are. And if things would change, of course, Lebanon would be very happy to welcome them back, whether it's for a summer break or for a lifetime or for a living. But they shouldn't be feeling disconnected from the country. Try to follow a bit what's happening here, and try to engage as much as you can. Voting is really a right, but also it's a duty for all of us, because
Mm.
everyone knows what's happening, and change should start by parliament. And whatever they say, we still have some sort of a very minimal working democracy. So for real, your vote would change something. It's not, they wouldn't put them away or delete your votes, your vote would count, and the elections is somehow transparent, and it would change. It would change
Oh.
things if you vote right. So this is my message.
Well, Anthony, it's a great message. I applaud you for all you do. You're a great Lebanese. You're a great friend. You're somebody who really knows how to make a difference. And once again, I wish you all the successes in the world. And thanks
I'm
for
very
being
happy that I
with
saw
us.
you again. I hope to see you again in Beirut or anywhere else in the world, Dane. And
I
thank you
hope
for
that as
checking
well.
on us during bad times. You always do.
Well, I appreciate that as well. Anyway, you take care. Anyway, thanks for being with Dane Waters, Around the World with Dane Waters. Let's take a break and we'll be back with our next guest.